Good afternoon and welcome back. It is the third episode of Podcone, the Falcone podcast. My name is Dan Falcone. I'm going to be your host, and joining me for this one, I have three special guests, as always. First up, next to me, my loyal companion through thick and thin, Toby. Hello.
Hello, darling. How you doing? All right?
I'm good. Still recovering a little bit from the miserable Pokemon battles we tried to have this morning.
They didn't go well, did they?
No. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But joining us this week, we have I'm gonna do Jay first. Jay, a big member of the community. Everybody loves Jay. And I was saying last week, as soon as I decided Jay's gonna be on the podcast next week, I was saying in the Discord server, I don't want to tell you who it is yet that's gonna be on, but you're really gonna like next week's guest. And Jay, I was talking about you specifically. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, but are you sure you actually booked me in? I thought I was just a replacement for the other guy. But anyways, yeah, hi guys.
Not this week. Maybe in the future. But no, this is your show, Jay.
This is
And lastly, in the bottom right corner, last but very much not least, we have AxillaTV, Stefan, who you guys have been seeing in Twitch chat for the last 2 or 3 weeks now, every single day. And he's even been streaming himself and playing one of Toby's a slightly different Pokemon challenge on his stream this week. How you doing, Stefan?
Yeah, no, I'm doing really well, actually. Lack of sleep, as always, but you know me, terrible, so... No, it's been really good. I've been really enjoying the challenge, and yeah, discount Falcone in the bottom right. It feels good. There's a bit of a joke going on in the Discord, because obviously I talk about streaming, just been doing it, and I've loved all the content you've been doing, so I've pretty much copied all of it for this week that I have to work, so...
Well, let's get into that, and that's going to be the core topic of today's stream. And I'm going to do something a little bit differently. We have the Podcone question. For those of you watching live on Twitch, thank you. If you're not watching live, you can watch live on a Wednesday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. UK time. Twitch.tv/Falcone hosts. You'll get to see our wonderful cameras, that kind of thing. And you also get to ask questions for the podcast by spending your channel points. And I usually save this for the end, but we've had a really good question come in from Garlic Breadman, who has asked, and I am assuming that this is being aimed at Jay. He asks, why isn't there a lampshade on your head, by the way? I love your streams. You are amazing.
The lampshade's actually been put back up. I actually sorted out my set, most of it today. So unfortunately, no more head streams, lampshade head streams. But I do have a Bulbasaur that I can put on my head, if people want that.
That answers a question that I had when I lurked into one. I was just like, oh, I'll open Jay's stream, lurk in there because I was streaming, and I just saw, I was like, I don't even want to know, and just alt-tab back away from it. I was like,
so
why does he have a lampshade on his
I'm confused. What's the deal with lampshade streaming? You got to fill in, for those of us who are maybe unfamiliar, because, you know, you're the cutting edge trend when it comes to streaming, so I need to follow in suit. What's going on?
Right, so, lampshade head streaming is when you put lampshade on your head and you try and be as good as possible. Currently, there are no record holders for it, so I can win a world record.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually learned a thing about world records a couple days. Oh, hang on.
Is there any podcasting? Is there any?
What is that lampshade?
Well, it's just my lampshade.
Paisley
So
and
if
flowers. That is intense.
I like that I had this to hand, to be honest.
If you are listening audio only, I apologize, but BirdKeeperToby has put a lampshade on his head and actually put his headphones over the... It's quite a sight.
This is a good look for me. I'm sorry. So to those of you who are listening on the audio only, the sight... It's actually the only kind of hat that I think has ever suited my hair. Because my hair is allowed to blossom within the shape of the... Yeah. Within the shape. It is highly uncomfortable, though.
It's the hanging gems as well that really just...
Jay, am I capturing the essence right, though?
Yes, you are. It's great. Now, what game are you going to play?
Oh, I was going to podcast right now, but I'll save this for later. Maybe for another stream a little bit later on. I could do it all with that on.
I think, Toby, in the future, if we do another... Well, assuming we probably will do another Twitch Sing stream, if you could make your video with the song and be wearing the lampshade, I think that would really complete...
Can we sing a song about lampshades?
I was going to say, there's got to be one, right?
There's got to be a song about lampshades available.
You can do the rapping parts in Flashing Lights, right? All of the lights.
Jay, as a follow-up question, Garlic Redman has asked if you could please put a Bulbasaur on your head.
I can. Hold on.
All right.
Wow,
waiting in anticipation.
He's not a performing animal. Like, you can't just make him do things like this.
Apparently we can.
Look at that.
Oh, okay then.
That Bulbasaur fits really smug
There you go.
inside the headphones. All right, well, hopefully we can have that for the rest of the stream. But yeah, the meat of this week's conversation is going to be, we're all streaming. We brought this up briefly in the first week of the podcast with The Last Shaman, with Garbage Ego.
Mm-hmm.
We're all streaming, and we're all streaming in different ways. And we had a lot to talk about that week, so we didn't really go too deep into the streaming side of things. But what we're going to talk about primarily today is what it's like to be a small streamer, and kind of a discussion on what we all believe works and doesn't work, etc., for growing these small streams, as well as sort of a day in the life and how kind of the emotional impact of streaming every single day. So, or not every single day, but streaming whenever you stream. Don't stream every single day; it will kill you. That is a disclaimer. 100%. Do not do that. But yeah, so let's get straight into it. And again, we've got a different variety of people here as usual. Toby is always going to be sort of an exception when we go to this kind of conversation.
Always hovering around.
Toby's not a streamer; he's a YouTuber.
I don't.
So,
yeah.
Toby, what do you think that means for your stream? How is that? In what way is that different?
For me, like, I think the core difference that I always say between what you do and what I do at the moment is, for you, the streaming is the everything. That's the project. That's what you're working on. And in many ways, the other content that you do, whether that's YouTube, right down to Twitter and Instagram, that stuff is complementary towards you building up a stream. For me, YouTube is my main thing, and then streams are complementary to the channel. And so, in many ways, I'm not trying to build an audience. I'm trying to connect with an audience that I'm building elsewhere. And in many ways, like I say, you're using YouTube in reverse. You're using that to connect to the audience you're building here. And so I use Twitch in a very, very different way. I do not envy you or any of you who are going forward as like, I want to build my platform on Twitch. Incredibly rewarding, incredibly difficult, right? And that's the kind of, but that's the main difference anyway. Also, I've yet to wear a lampshade on my head on the channel. And I already
Watch
have
this space.
here. Watch this space. Joke about throwing shade somewhere in there. We'll get there. I don't know.
Nice.
I've wasted the pun.
All of them off.
That's sort of the key difference. I'm really interested because obviously I think Stefan, you started relatively recently, and Jay, you've also started all in the same similar time frame.
It's kind of complicated with Stefan, because you've been doing it. You're a little bit like me in that we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah,
but you've started doing it more regularly recently.
I've actually had a sub button for almost 2 years now. It's 22 months, I think, and I've actually been streaming on Twitch since Hearthstone closed beta. So we're talking,
which is earlier than me, by the way, just to say. Stefan was at it before
ago.
I was.
Where I was a mildly popular Hearthstone streamer. I had really bad internet. My bitrate was like 2K up. It was just dreadful. But I did it because I wanted to try and broach into that YouTube space. Weirdly, just throwing back to the YouTube thing there, because I enjoyed watching YouTube videos, and YouTube was my primary intake of any of that sort of online medium. And I loved anything strategy. I was massively into StarCraft 2 for a while. That took over my life. I then transitioned to a different game. And then when Hearthstone came out, I threw myself into that and tried streaming it for the first time streaming. And the reason I mentioned StarCraft is because there's a wonderful YouTuber who did these very, very in-depth technical looks at how to play StarCraft at a very like kind of minimalistic, not minimalistic, like a very, very detailed level, and breaking down certain decisions pros make. And I wanted to do that, but for Hearthstone, because it was, first of all, way less difficult to play Hearthstone than StarCraft 2, so that was easier there straight away. So I ended up just trying to grind out Hearthstone, and I thought, why am I not streaming this? So I ended up streaming it and trying to produce some content for YouTube, and YouTube always felt like so much effort. And even back then, even 7 years ago, I felt like it was already too late for me to get into YouTube. So like, wow. and that was a weird thing, just because like, whenever I did try, because I was quite early on with the closed beta, my videos didn't really like do anything initially, and that was partly due to like so many things like bad cameras, bad production value, bad video quality. Probably the content was bad as well, but there was so many things like, if I'd maybe stuck at it, sure. But then uni exams got in the way. I say in the way. They were the correct priority, and streaming took a backseat then. So that's when I had a big break in terms of downtime. And I've been on and off kind of since then for the past 6.5, 7 years. Yeah. So that's a little bit of my initial background before, as Toby said, recently properly starting up again.
And let's transition that into Jay, because actually I don't even know your full history when it comes to streaming, Jay. What got you started in the wonderful world of Twitch?
Well, for me, when I started streaming Twitch, it was something I did when I first started Twitch, which had been 2013, and don't search for them.
Wow.
Clips, because they're all please don't. But I just streamed anything I could get my hands on. I did a lot of Pokemon back then as well, but it was just being inspired by a lot of YouTubers at the time to do something a bit different, doing my own thing. But the problem is then again with uni stuff, life gets in the way, and about 2015-ish is when I stopped Twitch even altogether. Don't search me on YouTube. But when I got back into streaming, which has got to be a couple of years ago now, actually, I got the affiliate, etc. But it didn't feel complete, and only recently, when I found this space, essentially, I've gotten myself to a point where I've got a schedule, I've got this background sorted, I've got a Bulbasaur in my head.
What more could you need?
Exactly. But again, it's been inspired by different people to do it. But my original start was I was bored, and I started to do a lot of different things. And then, like I said, life got in the way. In fact, actually, one of the things I remember doing was an X and Y shiny hunting challenge with a friend, and I got about 2 shinies in 2 hours, and I was so proud of that.
Wow.
And now I can't get a shiny to save my life.
Oh dear, Jay.
Oh,
Jay, I feel like you didn't never learn like the rule number 1 of the internet, which is where you tell people not to do something. That's precisely
They immediately go and do it.
Yeah.
So
It was.
I've kind of got a question for all 3 of you, because, like you say, Stefan, recent resurgence into streaming. Jay, recent resurgence into streaming. Dan, recent resurgence into streaming. There's obviously, been reasons that we can't leave the house, but that hasn't caused everyone to start streaming. That hasn't caused everyone in the world to start streaming, though I have seen an increase in that. So what is, if I can kind of hijack the podcast for a moment, I'm curious to know, because my habits for streaming haven't changed as a result, really. But why now?
Well, I'll cut in and probably shouldn't say this, but I think it is the truth. I started streaming regularly because of coronavirus, because of the fact that I cannot work as much as I was before, and the jobs that I do have, the jobs that I am working, don't require me to travel anymore because of the virus. So I've got more free time at the moment, and at first I was just bored, wasn't doing anything. Do you know what? Let's put all my energy into streaming. That's what got me into it. Now, I think it's fair to say, based on what people have been saying recently, and hopefully you guys will back me up and not make me look like a jerk here, I believe that me doing this and sort of hitting this really hard has encouraged others to as well.
I mean, I said at the start I was discount Falcone. Like, I've been enjoying your stuff so much. Like, yes, I had this relatively long history in streaming, and I've done my own thing for a very, very long time. And I mean, visually, and I think it, just in terms of who we are as people, we are quite different. But just the content that you've done has very much inspired me to do the same thing, which is why I asked Toby to give me a similar, but I've asked for a slightly harder challenge in Pokemon. It's the only reason I got a capture card, because I saw your Pokemon challenge and went, I want to do that, and I want to stream it. I want that interaction, and so I did, and it was lovely, and it's definitely inspired me. I mean, I also want to throw in a little side comment. I still have my full-time job, and I'm still going in every day, Monday to Friday. So technically, Corona's not really affected me too much.
Sure.
The only thing is I've got a little bit of extra spare time because the gyms are closed, so I'm not doing that every evening, pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, so you personally, the coronavirus has affected me because you've inspired me more than anything else for just wanting to stream.
And what about you, Jay? Are there any other outside reasons that you've gotten back into it, kind of in a more hardcore way?
Well, mainly because with work, I'm currently not at work because reasons. Let's put that way.
Okay. Okay.
And Toby's been telling me for years to quit the job. But the other thing is that, again, with everything going on, I can only stream certain days, but it's something that gives me, a reason to get out of bed that day. The coronavirus itself, even though it's separated a lot of people, I believe it's brought a lot more people together. So just take that as you will. But yeah. The other things that have inspired me is actually yourself, Dan, with all the video tips on YouTube as well, like the light I showed you earlier. It's a £5 light and it makes the world of difference.
Send me a link to that, please. My lighting not the best.
So that goes into all of our reasons for sort of starting and hitting it harder again. But I wanted to get a little bit deeper into like the differences between us as streamers and different types of streamers on there. And starting again with Toby as the sort of YouTuber that streams. And then you've got me, which is the opposite way around. And because my job is so, at the moment, it takes so little of my time, I'm basically streaming full time, which is a different thing in its own. Obviously, it's not actually a full-time job. I'm not earning an income from it, but I am using, working a full-time week, so to speak, as a streamer. Stefan, obviously, you said that it's not full-time for you. You are still working Monday to Friday. You've got this week off. What do you think that means in terms of growing it? Do you think that makes it more difficult when you're restricted to how many hours you can stream? Or what are your thoughts there?
I think it's a weird one because on the face value, you've got less time, flat. And depending on what else is going on in your life, you may have other commitments. Like, for example, I said I went to the gym for a lot of evenings after work. I have a partner who I live with. And so I have to commit some of my social time to spending time with, the ones I love. But on the flip side, also when you have free time, in a normal environment, that's also when most other people have free time. So I would argue that it's not too much of a difference trying to start and get into streaming if you still have a job, mine's a standard kind of 9 to 5-esque time, Monday to Friday. If you like work weekends, it can be a little bit more difficult, all those sorts of awkwardnesses and shift work, of course. But yeah, I would say that most people have free time, and most people kind of tune in on those free time moments, which will be after school for a lot of the younger audiences, after work, weekends when most people have things free. So yeah.
Can I have a thought on that? Because you said you don't think it makes too much of a difference because the times that people will be watching will be the times that you're off anyway, so that kind of works. I don't know. I remember, obviously what I built was YouTube and not Twitch, so it's different, but I did that while I was at university, and I know that if I had to build YouTube while I had some other full-time job and while I had something else that demanded all of my attention, I feel like it wouldn't have happened. It might have done. It might have been like, this is my catharsis outside of like work that I get to do this thing. But for me, very specifically, it was because of the type of university course that I had that I could kind of blow it off a bit and turn some of the work into channel related stuff. Very convenient. Like, that's kind of where for the channel, and I feel like you need more to put into a stream than you do a YouTube channel. I might be wrong about that, but it definitely seems like, because you've got the literal time commitment of like, it also depends on your stream length, right? Like, I don't know how long your average stream is, but like Dan's...
Stefan's are long.
Yours are
long streams.
Long streams? You're doing what, like 7-8 hours or something?
It's
like
7-8 hours this week, and normally when I have work, I will come home, I'll start streaming at about 9 p.m, and I'll finish at about 2 in the morning.
Oh,
and then I wake up at like 6, ready to go to work.
So, okay, so this is where And that's,
Not
I
good.
think, great if you're doing it for a month, if you're doing it for 2 months. There comes a point where that's just not sustainable. You can't live your life like that. At some point, you got to go, what's this all for? I need time off. I think that's something that, Dan, maybe you've been coming to to blows with, is that you're working, and it's like, this isn't sustainable. You got to, you know.
I think for me, you've summed up nicely when you say the time that you spend streaming is one thing. But I feel like the more time has gone on over the last few years, the more competitive streaming has gotten. And before I got back into it properly, I watched a lot of YouTube videos from larger YouTubers with their advice and their tips. And everyone says different things. At the end of the day, as a small streamer, you're not following advice from a larger streamer isn't necessarily the right thing to do, because what they do probably isn't going to work for you. Like, it's a very, very different ballpark. But something that a lot of people did say, and it resonated with me really well, is that the time you spend streaming is not the time that you build your audience. The time that you spend streaming is for the audience you already have, for the community you already have. What these people believe is that the time that you spend building the audience is actually the time you spend making YouTube content, the time you spend building a community Discord server, the time you spend doing stuff like that. And I feel as though if I just did my 7-hour streams every day and then turned off and did nothing, and then turned up the next day and did my 7-hour streams, I don't think I would have grown as I have done at the moment. That's my own thoughts anyway.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Just to throw evidence to that, I mean, back in the day when I was doing my Hearthstone stuff, we've shown you the very, very early videos. I've sent you links to
Trollden.
was it the Hearthstone moments? Hearth Trollden, that was the one.
Yeah.
And I'm on episode like 19 and 21. I'm like real early on for those. And after those, my stream, which had maybe 10 viewers, fine, I was hitting around 70, 80 viewers. This was way before affiliate was a thing. Like, you needed 1,000 followers to even apply for. For
500 concurrent viewers.
Yeah, it was insane back then. But I was getting, like 80, 90 kind of at peak concurrent viewers, sometimes a little bit more back in those days. And it was literally only because, not that I was producing YouTube content, because I found that streaming took up pretty much all of the free time. And then I felt like I was always wasting time by trying to make content rather than just make it. And then send the clips into already popular things like the clip shows, and that definitely catapults. Like you said, the YouTube content fuels and grows your audience.
I said earlier that not earlier in the podcast, but earlier on stream today, at my kind of peak when I was Hearthstone streaming, on an average week, I'd average 80 viewers, right? But there'd be the odd occasional week where I would build a deck, a wacky deck, hit legend with it, promote it on a Hearthstone fan site, and make a video guide showing how that deck works. And for that week, that deck is the top of the Hearthstone fan site, I had a solid 200 viewers a week. And then that deck would disappear off the list, and I'm back to maybe 90 this time, because a few of them stuck around. And that's all you ever want, really. You just want a few of these new people to stick around. Jay, I know that you struggle a lot with time, not necessarily because of work purposes, but you are, and please stop me if you don't want to go too into this, but you're a big family guy.
I am, yes. I love the TV show. But
Nice.
no, I live at home, and if people have seen my streams, especially the impromptu streams, such as the one yesterday, you will see a family member interrupt me. And if you've been paying close attention to the video, you may have seen someone interrupt me on the podcast. But again, that's why my schedule at the moment is Wednesdays and Sundays, because it's the only time I can do it. But I want to get on to Stefan's point there about coming home from work and streaming. Now, when I'm at work, I deal with customers all day. So the last thing I want to do is actually talk to anyone. So how do you find that to get out of that?
I mean, for me, so I have a very unique job where I am stuck in a room with no windows in the middle of a building where I have to go through 6 security doors to get there. Temperature, humidity controlled lab. I don't know what the weather's outside. I turn up, and then I have no idea what the weather's been like all day until I leave. It's very, very weird, but because of that kind of isolation, I get out and I'm like, cool. I just have my time to be social, to talk and all that thing. But I have worked a plethora of different jobs in the past. One of them, which was a customer service advisor for game. And you get some nutcases on there. phoning up and just with some terrible problems. You get the standard, but yeah. So that was always a period where I wasn't streaming, but I still had the social commitments of World of Warcraft raiding, which I was a raid leader, and it definitely a lot of the times, and some of my old guildies back then will know it was either I just kind of blasted through it and just went head first, or I would have those days where I'd be like, all right, I don't want to talk, let's do this, you guys know what to do, and I would just then mute, and that would be it for the entire raid evening. So it can be definitely difficult to break out of after dealing with just idiots and nutcases all day. And I know, and not all of them, I mean, you get just people genuinely normal, just with normal problems, but yeah, it's I think that was a big challenge back then, and I think it's part of the reason I didn't stream a lot for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, streaming is hard, and that's one of the other things I really wanted to sort of cover in a big way in this podcast, especially now, because Stefan, you mentioned that when you first streamed years ago, it was on 2K bitrate. I'm sure I streamed on worse than that. When I first started streaming, I was at university. I had a MacBook. That was what I used to stream. There was no OBS on MacBook back then. I had to use some really janky software. Not only that, it wasn't just like one software, okay, go. I had to use one software to split my audio so that I could put the audio into the software I was using. I had to use a second software to do the camera stuff, and a third software to actually upload the broadcast. When I started, I had 3 different bits of software running. And as a result, my cam was like, I want to say 5 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
It was my audio was very out of sync, and there is footage that exists of the old stuff. I don't promote it because back then I did used to swear on stream and that kind of thing, and I've cleaned up my act since then. But it was really bad. But then again, I was still able to slowly build up a following because there wasn't the equipment wasn't as accessible as it is now. Now anyone can get a Blue Snowball microphone. It's not too expensive. And you can stream with it. Jay's got one. Stefan, you use one, if I'm not mistaken. And anyone can. They're so accessible. A regular Logitech webcam, anyone can get one of those.
It literally is like
difficult.
It's really easy to kind of do a little bit of Googling and go, what's the streamer starter kit? Oh, I need the Logitech C920. I need a Blue Snowball. I need a couple lights. That's it. And an Elgato capture card. You don't even need the lights. You don't even need the
camera if you don't want it.
And that's it. You're good. You're off.
People can stream from just using their Xbox if they want, or the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But that's why it's gotten more difficult, because nowadays there's almost as many people streaming as there are watching on Twitch. And that's where you have to make yourself discoverable, because when you've only got a few viewers, like even with the 40 or so viewers that I'm getting, you're not at the top of any directory that you're in on Twitch. Regardless of what game I'm playing, I'm buried down, right? That's the problem that we have. So you have to do something to get people to find your content. And I think that's the most difficult part of Twitch. Obviously, then holding on to people is an important skill to have. But getting them in the first place is so difficult on this platform. And I would argue quite fiercely that Twitch is the single hardest social media platform to grow.
Yeah. I can agree with that, because Twitch is the kind of thing where you're not searching for anyone. I'm not searching for a specific game. I tend to know who I'm going to watch before I open up the platform. I tend to know, what I'm coming in for. So the question is, where am I finding them? Now, I'm not personally finding them through Discord servers. I may have found them through YouTube, or through a recommended link on Twitter, or through, word of mouth. And again, YouTube, how am I finding those creators? What am I searching? Because I'm not searching Falcone hosts if I don't know who you are. I'm searching Pokemon. Oh, okay, great. There's that Pokemon creator. Oh, they have a Twitch stream. And so that is like, how I find people. And so I think with Twitch, when you're playing games, the best way to kind of source your audience is to source it from audiences that already exist. The whole BirdKeeperToby thing, the reason I stopped vlogging and moved to Pokemon was because there's already an audience there that are searching Pokemon, and hopefully, they come for Pokemon, and maybe they stay for me, they stay for my videos. And that's kind of how it worked for me. And so I think having spaces like Discord where you can bond over your mutual love of video games, of, you know, pop culture, whatever's going on, that's the way to do it. That's the way to kind of source those people, because ultimately all you and your chat are is a culmination of people who all love similar things. And that's it.
I mean, obviously, another way of going on stream, and it's something that I've seen a lot of people doing, and it genuinely makes me really happy, is obviously integrating yourself into a community that's not too large. There's no point in watching a streamer with, you know, 10,000 concurrents and expecting to become a big part of their community. But if you get involved into a community that's not too large, where, you know, if you show up every day, you will get noticed, you will get recognized, you will make friends and that kind of thing, and sort of just really supporting the creators in there, making friends in there, then you can respectfully, and if that's exactly what everyone does, you can respectfully start to say, hey guys, by the way, I stream, you can check me out another time. Yeah, and it works.
There's one particular community, there's a few that I've been a part of in the years, but there's one that's really good, and that's, I don't know if you heard, it's the Falcone hosts community. It's, I mean, let's be honest though, Jade, like, for us, the much smaller discount Falcone over here, we
B-Tech Falcone.
Did you say B-Tech?
The only reason I said one of the big reasons we're getting reasonable numbers as we're just kind of starting back up again is not because of audiences we've had in the past, not because people remember who the hell we are, but because we've got this wonderful community that's come from Falcone, and you talk about growing and having this community to come into and interact with, and then some people might check you out, and that's exactly what you've done, and that's your intention, and you've been phenomenally successful at it. For my benefit and for Jay's benefit and for your own as well. It's been great.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the community, especially Dan's. It's so amazing because I've been in pretty much everyone's streams, and it's just awesome to hang out. Like, it really is fun.
But there is also a very slight downside that I want to mention, and that is that I've seen people in the community start their streams, do really, really well. They've done really, really well. But I've seen people getting a little bit disheartened that they've not done quite as well as maybe they hope they're getting. And I think it's this expectation, because you start streaming and instantly, because you're part of this community, instant 7-8 viewers, maybe more, you know? And then it's like, there's this confusion as to like, why does it not continue
why doesn't
to
it grow
that quickly? People, and some days maybe there's multiple people in the community streaming, and some days there might only be 3 or 4 viewers. And there's this like, why, is there something I'm doing wrong? And I've really been trying to push this thing recently. This idea that, guys, streaming is hard. Growing an audience, it's not something you're doing wrong. It really isn't. It is so hard. Playing video games for a living is a dream job. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah. And everyone definitely tries. And I think and kind of what you're saying there is you've kind of got the scenario where you've got a community, you know, built up around a streamer like yourself. People, you know, in the community get to know each other. They'll watch each other's stream and support it. But that's really not much different to, like, if I only shared my YouTube channel on my Facebook with, you know, my friends and family watching, where it's like,
sure,
you know, they'll support me. But then, like you said earlier, what am I then doing to get out there and push myself to new audiences and stuff? And it's kind of a similar thing. It's like, well, you've got your friends watching, why aren't you growing? It's because there's all of this peripheral stuff. Sorry, bless me. All of this, there's all of this peripheral stuff. And that's, you know, you got to experiment and get things wrong and try things again. It's busy world.
And that's kind of why, I mean, people were not mocking me. People were saying I was working too hard at first when I started streaming again. Because when I decide, I'm kind of all or nothing. That's my personality. A lot of the time I'm nothing. But then when I'm all, I'm really all. And it was 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, 2 YouTube videos, and making new content for the stream, making Falcone cards, doing this, doing that. Now I'm making a podcast. You know, like, it doesn't stop. But to me, I mean, the podcast has been successful at getting people in. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's people watching live right now that are here because of the podcast. And what I want to say on this topic one more time is that I don't want people to feel like, oh man, Falcone's getting viewers so quickly. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not? And I kind of want to say, guys, I've had a lot of advantages. a lot of advantages. I used to do this. I grew it slowly the first time. I got to a lot of viewers. I'm regularly having people from the old days coming back in saying hi. It happened several times today and yesterday. Old viewers, I haven't watched you in years. You're still playing Hearthstone? That happens. I have the technology because of my job. I have 5 years of live broadcast experience because of my job. I have a best friend who is a huge Pokemon YouTuber, who has been helping me out to no end. So like, I have a lot of advantages here. Nobody should ever look at what I'm doing and feel bad, like, oh man.
And even then,
this is after like 6 years, really, of being in this space and practicing.
Even then, you're going hard. You're going hard on it, and it's still not, like you said earlier, it's not a full-time job in terms of money. It's a full-time job in terms of how much energy you're putting into it, and then some. And it's got to be that way for, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years?
Yeah, probably.
You never know how long, because there is always that, what is the saying is like, the luck doesn't kind of disqualify the hard work, and the hard work doesn't kind of disqualify the luck. Mm-hmm. There's that combination of, and like you say, like if it was easy, everyone would do it. And, it's great to see you trying. It's great to see you've inspired others to try, and so that's always very, very exciting as well.
But I feel like although, as you said, luck is certainly a factor, I feel like hard work's
more important.
If you go on for long enough, if you're consistent enough, and if you keep at it, keep hammering away at that thing, all it takes is one extra regular viewer, and then one extra regular viewer. And suddenly, your average view count has just shot up by 2 every single stream.
And you've got to improve.
That's a big number when you're growing a stream. It really is.
25% of my stream.
You gotta improve and like, as much as possible go. I remember a lot of my early videos, and this is where a lot of YouTubers, including myself, can and do stagnate into the later years of a YouTube channel, is because when you start out, you're constantly going, what could I do to make this next video better? What did I do wrong last time? What could I make better? What could I make better? What could I make better? And there is a point of kind of laziness where you go, it's good enough. It's fine. And it's hard to keep that motivation, to keep that fire stoked where you go, and luckily, and thanks to you doing this stream, it's kind of, again, helped re-stoke that fire of, okay, let's reassess everything. What could I be doing better? What could I be doing better? And you've got to keep doing that stuff as frequently as you can to see that growth. Definitely.
So I want to just flip things on their head just for a second, Toby, and talk about you and the sort of reverse where obviously you're a YouTuber, but stream has become a relatively important part of what you do. But like, what does the stream mean for your YouTube channel? Like, what has it brought to the table, and in what way would you be? Do you think worse off without the stream?
I think when I started off the channel, I would reply to every comment. I would argue that since getting more viewers over the years, I reply to less comments than I did when I started. And that's because it's an overwhelming task, and there's just, how much time am I supposed to give to that? In a way, the stream is my chance to do that, where once a week or a couple times a week, I can hang out with a portion live, and I can respond to everything in real time, as long as the numbers aren't like overwhelming or anything. And I can kind of have a dialogue with people who watch my videos. And I can get a feel for, and okay, how do these people, what do they think? What do they make of it? And I think that's probably the main thing I get from it. It's just a chance to interact with the audience. That's about it. Yeah.
So you don't actively try and push your stream. You don't actively try and grow it. Is that
no,
right?
Not really. I will make. For me, the stream is kind of like, it's also like a special occasion thing. At the moment, I'm on your stream quite often. On my own channel, I'm there now about once a week. It was a little bit higher a couple months ago. It's now dwindled down to once a week.
You were once a day for a while, weren't you?
I was once a day for a little bit, and that was like, well, we've got this virus thing, we're all knocked down. That's my job, isn't it? I'm an entertainer. I was like, okay, I'll do weekdays, and that kind of thing. It works for me for periods of time, and then it doesn't. And when it starts not, I don't like pushing it, because I don't want it to be bad, and I don't want it to feel like a chore. So at the moment, being in your streams is working for me. Being on Podcone is working for me, and doing the community raid hour, we do that every week. It's actually right after this podcast for those of you watching it live. Whenever we do that once a week, that's been a lot of fun. Other than that, I will use it as a special event. So new DLC out, new game out, new announcement. Those are the times to stream and share with an audience, because I know a lot of people, whereas I don't really make reaction content on my channel, because it exists for a day and then sort of no one cares. And I don't really feel like reaction stuff justifies its own video for me. Because what am I going to do? Oh, wow, that's great. Or, oh, no, that's not great. So I think doing the live reaction thing works, and sharing in that moment with people, knowing what the general consensus is, and them getting to know how I feel, especially if I've got someone with me in the stream, like Phoebe. That's kind of a nice element of it as well. And that's what it's about for me. So it's entirely different from, like, brick by brick building something that's new here. I don't know. It's a complementary part of the BirdKeeperToby experience, I suppose. Yeah. Does that make sense? I'm rambling now. I'm off on one.
That completely makes sense. Like,
great.
You want your content to, even if it does, I mean, with Pokemon especially, if it gets outdated because a new game's come out or they've changed some things around, as they sometimes do. Like, you don't necessarily want everybody to come to your channel to start watching you from the beginning and catch up to where you are now. But some of the old content, you also don't want them to come in and go, this is his latest video. Cool, I'm done. I'll wait for the next one. You want them to have a couple previously. They go, okay, let's find out what you thought about his favorite Pokemon 2 years ago, or things like that. And
I like to think that a good 80% of the channel is back catalogue that is watchable. That still to this day, I don't want to necessarily remake a lot of that content, because it still works, it's still watchable. Is kind of the idea.
Something I really like about your stream, Jay, in particular, is you have such an energy. You have such an energy that is so infectious, and you cannot help, even before you're streaming with a cam and when you're streaming with a tiny little cam, you've got such this energy that I think is so infectious, and you do these weird things, like the lampshade, like the. I just want to, like, what inspires you, or is it just spur of the moment? Oh, that looks funny.
It's spur of the moment. I don't plan anything in advance. I hate planning things.
You were giving away how many Celebi the other day?
Still am. But there's like 40. So yeah, it's just I like, the only thing I planned out this year was if I hit 200 followers on Twitch, I would do a giveaway. I didn't even know what I was giving away yet. Unfortunately, I don't have the resources to give away a Switch Lite, which was, it still is a giveaway on certain people's channels. But again, it's just spur of the moment. The lampshade, it was just there, and I used it. A lot of the things I do, I don't plan out. The only things I plan out tend to be the more boring stuff. So, for example, I played Outlast the other day, yesterday, and I got bored of it because it wasn't scary enough for me. So I played another game which I enjoyed more, but even the amount of viewers weren't there. But I don't like keeping a strict schedule because I can't roll like that. Yeah, I mean, I've got lots of different props, or well, people will call them props. But yeah, I mean, I've got kind of freeze spray down there, for example. Obviously, if you're not watching this live, you can see it. But I can use some different things, and just my stream type bio used to be, come have a laugh at me or with me. I don't care, because that's what I stream for. I stream to entertain people as best I can. Whether it's good or bad is up to you. But that's what I want to do. I like seeing people be happy. And if that's expensive, me putting a lampshade on my head or a Bulbasaur, which he's hurt my head, but it's down there.
Nice.
yeah, I enjoy entertaining.
It's
people.
nice.
That's what I wanted to be when I was like, well, the same height now because I didn't grow. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to be this really good comedian, and I wanted to do stand up. But because I damaged my legs, I didn't want to sit down, so I can't do stand up anymore. That's
Well, you can do
really
sit
awful.
down.
Yeah, I sit down comedy. It's not as funny though. But no, I just enjoy entertaining people, and that's really the reason I stream and still do. Because if I could stream more and I had unlimited time to do it, I would do it every day. But the energy that I put into my streams, that's why I couldn't do it after work, after talking to someone for 4 hours about the energy bill being incorrect and what was correct or a V. It was just, it's such a mental drain on me. And for me to stream, I've got to be perky and happy and bouncing off every wall, except I haven't. And Pepsi Max, no sponsors.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And I know everybody enjoys your stream a lot, Jay. I wanna move on because we did have a question come in, which again feels like as good a time as any to answer it. Which was coordinator Lazar asks, what is the best advice you never got when it comes to building a community outside of streaming consistently? And that's a really good question. I'm going to repeat that. What is the best advice you never got when it comes to building a community outside of streaming consistently? And that's quite a hard one, but I'm going to start by answering with something very obvious if you're smart, which I'm not. Very, very obvious that I didn't realize when I first started streaming Hearthstone until it hit me. Watch other streams. It's so, especially when you're playing a game, like a single game like it was with Hearthstone, watching other Hearthstone streams, interacting with other Hearthstone streamers, get involved in that community. It's a big, big factor. And the other advice that I never got, but somehow knew anyway, is make friends with someone when you're young who's going to be a big YouTuber and leech off of them forever.
Nice.
No, I'm kidding. But anyways, does anyone? I'm going to open that one up. Does
Yeah.
anyone else have an answer?
I immediately, I saw the question. I've been thinking about it for a while. So, some of you may know that I used to do Heroes of the Storm casting and observing at LAN events and online, and I ran 60 tournaments myself, funded by myself.
Wow.
When Heroes of the Storm was not a dead game, the advice that I never got, because I used to stream all of those for as much as I could when my internet wasn't being terrible, was that basically don't give up, even if and don't give up with consistency, even if you're not seeing results. And the reason I say
That's
that is
good.
because I had a weekly tournament. Occasionally we get 2 or 3 teams in and be like, okay, cool, whatever. 3 teams will do a round robin instead. If we've got 8 teams, wicked, we can do a bracket format. Whatever it was, no matter how bad it was, no matter how few teams entered, I was always doing it every single week unless I was on holiday. And then one day I get a message on Skype from a very, very famous games commentator who used to do StarCraft 2, then did Heroes of Storm, called Kalaris, saying, hey, I know you've been doing this for a long time. Do you want to come and do it for a lap? And I said, yes. Oh my god, I didn't know anybody was watching. I didn't care that nobody was watching. I wanted to do this, and the fact that I've been doing it, I think, for about 30 weeks consistently then. A couple weeks here and there on and off. Sorry, a couple weeks here and there just missing out because of holidays. Yeah, that was I got rewarded for my effort despite never getting any, like my YouTube, the VODs
do you know what,
on
Stefan?
YouTube had 20 views max. The viewers in stream was 3 or 4, and one of them was me. Like, that's how it went. And
Yeah.
eventually
Your story with how you got into casting heroes is so similar to my story with casting. Again, throwing my own tournaments, getting noticed by someone. So I was doing these every week, and like, hey, I need someone to replace me for this. So it's so similar. But yeah, just to throw that question out to Toby and Jay as well. Best advice that nobody ever told you. And for Toby, it's a little bit different, I guess, this question.
Yeah.
Because you never really, you built your community on YouTube. But maybe that is the advice. Maybe the advice is don't try and build your community on Twitch.
You've You've got me with this one. You've really got me with this question. I mean, I could say any number of like generic things. The things that pop to mind that you've probably already heard before are: don't compare your numbers to other people's numbers. You're never gonna find a happiness there, and it doesn't usually lead to sound conclusions. What's good and what's popular are not always the same thing on the internet. Be yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. Don't worry about always being super, super pristine. You know, YouTube was like, it's broadcast yourself. YouTube, people want to see you. When it comes to streaming, they want to see you. And I think one of the beautiful things about your stream, Jay, is that it's just so Jay. It's so rawly you.
Right, exactly.
And that's what people love about it. It's endearing. It's nice. When you know, I approached YouTube with a very, I don't want to say calculated, but I had a battle plan. I was like, I'm going to take on this YouTube thing. I'm going to do it. Yeah, awesome. And one of the sacrifices, I think, of that, without even really realizing it, is there's that, I don't know, there's that little bit where, you know, okay, oh, well, the next thing I should do is make kid-friendly content or whatever. For example, that's just an example. But people are human beings, and you know, I don't think I get to always do all of the creative, expressive things that I would love to be able to do on YouTube. And so if you can go in and just be yourself, be yourself. Sorry, this is really like offbeat advice. I realize I'm going down a different path.
But be yourself is actually good advice.
Yeah.
It's actually very good advice.
And it's silly advice because you think, well, of course I'll be myself. Who else will I be? Well, you'll find out in 5 years.
I think
you know?
what really struck a chord with me there, Toby, is when you said sometimes what's good is not what's popular.
Yes.
I feel like with Twitch, that is often the case, and something that disheartened me the first time round when I was streaming is that I got this studio, I got this green screen and everything. I decided I was going to really go for that, and then I kind of found out. I can't remember how I found this out. I found out people don't like green screen streamers. People actually like it when you're in your bedroom and you've got your bed behind you.
Wait, what?
Because yeah, right. Because people, no, it's not nothing dodgy. It's because people like, yeah, take it down, Stephen. There you go. That's better. People, oh, no, that's not. Okay.
Wow.
Let's pretend that didn't happen. And the reason for that is that people, in a lot of cases on Twitch, they like to be, they just like to get a snippet of your life. That's what they like. They like to just get like with Jay. Your room is it's so Jay. Your room is what
It's
your
your
room.
room.
See
It's your thing.
stuff you like in the background.
My room
There's
is
stuff that's
immensely me. It's plain and nothing.
Yes.
No,
But-
stop it. You're lovely.
And obviously, there's two different ways you can go with that. You can go with the bedroom stream. You can cheat the system by intentionally making a set that's like a bedroom and making it, which is kind of like what Toby's looks like.
Yeah, I mean, this is, but that is something that like has taken time for me to work out. I need this to be a space I can work in and looks nice, but I also need it to be a space that I can work in. I need to have my plushes around me. I need to have my Pokemon cards around me. That's not just because this is the office. That's because I've got to work here and feel like I can work here, you know? But yeah, definitely.
That's
you know,
not to say that. I mean, I'm still using the green screen. If I thought it was a huge problem, I would have done something about it. So, like, that is, I like to give the professional look. That is the stream that I want to build. That is the vibe that I want to give. And ultimately, whether or not that's right or not, it is my decision. And I'm gonna go ahead and die on that hill, because while I do think that some people are gonna tune in and be like, "Ugh, this is gross and corporate," and leave, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, appreciate the high quality video, appreciate the high quality sound, appreciate the overlay that I've tirelessly spent hours
ultimately,
working
it's
on.
like,
And I think a lot of people will like that.
Does it feel good for you, you know, when you make a new layout and you see it and you go, oh yeah, this is right, you know, or when you've got a new cool effect you can do with your green screen. You know, for me, I actually only just kind of changed set again for the billionth time about a month ago. And what that was is I was watching an old video of mine. I went, the set looks really nice there. Why doesn't it look nice anymore? All right, this has got to change. And the moment it was done, I went, this feels right. It feels good. And that's ultimately, you know, what it's got to come down to is there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's what do you want to put forward, you know? And does it feel good for you to do? But definitely comparing numbers, I have gone through so many days and hours of, you know, even, and I think I'm pretty good at not, but of course I look at other YouTube channels, other Pokemon YouTubers, with envy, going, I don't get it. Their videos are so wildly popular, and I don't think they're bad, but are mine worse? Like, what's going on there? Like, what, you know? And you can rip yourself apart. You can complain with your friends in Discord calls, and ultimately, the other people making content are lovely, lovely people. The hard work doesn't negate the luck. The luck does not negate the hard work. If you do work hard, it'll keep on. It will happen. But you know, all that's ever done for me is make me feel sad. Like, you just, and that's ultimately a waste of time. That's been a waste of my time, is looking at that stuff and going, you know, this is just depressing. Like, what am I supposed to do? I know of channels that literally upload Mario Party content, and that's it. It's just Mario. There's no commentary. There's nothing. It is screen grabs from Mario Party. They upload 3 times a day. They're getting tens to hundreds of thousands of views. They get more views than I do. And I think, and there's no commentary, it's just gameplay. And I can sit there and get so riled up at that, thinking,
oh, God.
How much money do they make? And how much viewership do they get? And, you know, I'm here, like, you know, every now and again, at least, pouring my little heart and soul into it. And I can get fury. But then what's that to achieve? Nothing. It doesn't help me.
Yeah, it's also
that doesn't help me.
About,
you know,
about them, their success. It's the fact that you put so much work in and you're getting less results.
Yes.
There was, a while ago, there was a Diablo stream. I can't even remember the name, but I was like, oh, maybe I should stream Diablo 3. Because I was doing all right. I was monk leaderboards, like top 200, that sort of thing. It was doing all right. I was like, oh, maybe I could do something. Let's check out the Diablo streamers. Taking the advice I never got. Let's watch somebody else and see what they do. And the most viewed Diablo streamer, no cam, no commentary. Well, I mean, he had a microphone. He was just silent, just occasionally going, that wasn't very good. And that was it. That was it. My entire stream. I watched for 20 minutes, didn't say another word, and I was like, I don't understand why he has this many viewers. I don't understand. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, no, it definitely can feel bad. Especially when you're putting the hours in. And it's I also think it's nice when somebody else, when it's clearly putting the work in, I think it's nice to see them getting results as well. Like, I think that's something that all humans like, is watching other people work hard and get what they were working for. Jay, did we get to your answer with the best advice you never received? Hit us with it then. What have you got?
No, the best advice that I would give, and well, I never got, and I learned myself, if you really love doing something, don't put numbers to it. It's as simple as that. Because as soon as you start putting view count, follower numbers to anything you love, you start hitting it. That little bit. Like Toby said, he looks at other Pokemon YouTubers doing similar content to him.
This is fantastic advice.
And hating his videos because they're not doing as well. It's something...
Oh, no, you finish. I don't want to like...
No, so for me, when I look at my streams, I look at, did I make someone laugh? That's not a number, it's just a yes or no. If I did, I've done what I wanted to do. If I haven't, I work harder. That's the only advice I can give people, to not worry about those numbers because they will kill you.
And just before Toby throws down here, because I know he's going to, you see it in his face. No, there's obviously the adage, which is or the saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, which I think is half wrong and half right. Because I think if you do what you love, you work harder than anybody else because you love it so much, but it doesn't feel like work. But as soon as you turn it into work, following what Jay said with doing the numbers, as soon as it becomes work, it's no longer your passion. It's your job, and that can definitely drain things out. And I think Toby might have something to say about it.
It's so difficult because the 50% of me goes, well, the views though can be they can be good indicators of where you're going right and where you're going wrong, and that kind of thing. So I try not to look at the views or think about the views to a certain extent. When I was streaming, I'm actually annoyed, and I should really I know this. I'm sure I can turn off this feature off, but Streamlabs OBS tells me right at the top right-hand corner how many viewers I've got. I did not used to, when I used to stream not on this version of the software, I did not used to see that number. And sometimes people would say to me, "Oh, Toby, you realize like how many viewers you had?" And I'd be like, "Oh, did I?" You know, and I'd just be there like, oh, "Did I?" Because I wasn't looking at it, and so I was treating the stream exactly the same. And again, that can be a blessing and a curse. It can be a blessing in the way that, cool, I'm going to treat this exactly the same, and my enjoyment won't change as a result of that number. At the same time, perhaps there was a different way that I needed to stream if I was interested in that long-term consistency, that long-term growth. When it comes to the YouTube channel, specifically with views, there's now a little... It's really useful. At the same time, it's really saddening. There's a little tool when you upload to YouTube that now into the Studio app tells you out of your last 10 videos how well this one's doing. And so if I see too many 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10 in a row, I do start to get a little bit panicked. Like, oh no, like what's going on? Am I on a bull run of bad stuff? But ultimately, if I upload a video, there are videos that I know I will upload that will do, that I not intend to do worse, but I know they will do worse. And when I do that, I'm not fussed. To be honest, as long as it's not to the point where viewership and revenue is so low that like I've somehow nuked and tanked the channel, I'm confident that if I go crunch for a month and I'm like, all right, I've messed it all up, let's go hard, then I'll be able to fix it somehow. Is always the kind of the thought.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. This whole conversation has got me looking in my room and trying to work out, is there any way I can make a set in here? Because like I want to be able to use the green screen for video content, because I think that stuff is gold, like the sub alerts and stuff. But I'm like, is there any way I can use that wall for something and have it look really? It's so like you got the cogs turning. I need to move this along because we're actually getting into the show now. But we do have another question to answer, which is Garlic Breadman has asked: when you're streaming, how often do you get hungry and want to eat like a plate of Bickies or something?
Always.
Who wants to answer this first? Toby, always.
I always want to eat, so that's my answer. Go for it.
I never get hungry. It's more drinking, like water, and keep my throat lubricated. It's the wrong word to use, but to do it, because I talk extremely fast and my throat dries out very quickly. So I never per se get hungry. And if you're streaming for a long time, I've done it myself, you lose track of time and you lose track of being hungry. But if you're going to do something like a 24-hour stream,
you have to,
have food, please. But yeah, I rarely get hungry on stream.
How about you, Stefan? I think I caught you munching away earlier today.
I try to make sure I do, but I'm very much one of these people who I get distracted so much with what I'm doing, whether it be gaming or binging a series or whatever, unless it starts to physically hurt, I will just ignore the fact that I'm hungry because I won't notice. Unless I'm like, oh, I'm really lightheaded. Why? Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh god, it's because I've not eaten in 19 hours. Like other than that sort of situation, I think be conscious of it, and I'm always very tempted to, because as Tim said, I like eating, but I've been blessed with being able to forget, so that I don't tend to interrupt my stream too much. But doing these long streams like you've been doing, Dan, 7-8 hours, it's good to just have a break in the middle. And
you have to at some point. Yeah. Like I haven't been having a break, but like what I've been doing recently is I've just been going full screen mode. It's like, okay guys, I'm going to be eating my lunch for the next 10 minutes. You can watch me eat if you want. Otherwise, see you in 10 minutes. Because if you're going to stream for 8-7 hours straight, like you're probably going to stream through a mealtime. You shouldn't really skip that meal. It can be difficult to know what to do about that, but that's kind of the solution that I've taken. But yeah, anyways, that is going to be the show. So lastly, obviously, it's everyone's chance to give themselves a plug, and I'm sure we're going to see links being spammed in the chat in a moment with all your socials. But Toby, let's start with you. Where can these lovely people find you?
You can find me on I haven't mentioned it all this stream. YouTube.com/BirdKeeperToby. And if you're watching this live, you can find me right after this stream on Twitch.tv/BirdKeeperToby. Those are two platforms that I tend to inhabit. So yeah, check them out if you're interested.
All right. And Jay, where can these people find you?
You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jay24092. Or on Twitter at J_24092.
That one caught me last
Yes,
night.
it did.
That one caught me.
Because I foolishly locked myself out of that one. Good me. But that's it, yeah. I stream and maybe do YouTube in the future, but we'll get to that.
And Stefan, how about you?
As you can see down here, AxillaTV on Twitch. I have tried YouTube a couple times with sort of things, but I just put no don't even try. Like, if you want to search it and find something terrible and cringy, I'm sure you will. I'm on Twitter, which is AxillaTV as well, but I basically don't use it. So if you tweet me, I probably will start using it more and more. But yeah, generally I'm streaming Twitch, and my schedule is, I don't want to just like throw in loads of information, but I'm like as mentioned earlier, I'm off this week, so I'm pretty much 10 till 6 p.m. this week, and then afterwards it's up in the air, whatever, probably weekend streaming. So yeah, that's when and where you can find me.
Sweet. Well, there you go. You have been listening to Podcone. If you're not listening live, then feel free to watch next week. We're live 3:30 p.m. British summertime on a Wednesday. I don't know why Toby's doing a little dance. There's no jingle music to go here. It's not.
You're not going to edit in some outro music.
No. But if you've listened online, or if you've watched live, you can also listen again for whatever reason on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, and any of the other platforms you like. But thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week. See you then.